صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وأهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
قال الله تعالى في كتاب الكريم: فتلقى آدم من ربه كلمات فتاب عليه إنه هو التواب الرحيم. صدق الله العلي العظيم. When one travels throughout their life as they're growing, they come to a realization that there's only one God, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We all come to that realization at some point in our life through searching for Him. And after we find out there's Allah, we know that through His mercy or His lutf, He sends messengers to inform us and make us aware of Him. And they are the ones that we're supposed to emulate and follow throughout our lives. So it becomes a wajib on us to follow them and to research about them and to learn about their lives so that way we can follow their sunnah. So something interesting that I found, I was researching all of the prophets, the older prophets, all the way up to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
I noticed one thing. When all of these prophets, they had hardships. It's not just us that get hardships. Prophets had the most hardships. And we see that with these prophets, whenever they got into a situation or some calamity befell them, we find that when the relief came, it was because they called on the names of Ahlulbayt alayhimu salam. And a lot of people don't realize this or don't know this, but Allah blessed us that we know, as Shia, we know Ahlulbayt and we know the names of Ahlulbayt alayhimu salam. These names are powerful. It's not just ordinary names. These people hold the highest status with Allah, the highest status that there is. And whenever these prophets got into difficulties, they called on Allah by these names. And tonight I want to go over some stories of these prophets so that we can become aware of what situation they were in and how they came about to get out of their hardship. The ayat that I read in the beginning was from Surah Baqarah, ayat 37. The English is, then Adam received words from his Lord and then turned unto him, and verily Allah is oft-turning the most merciful. So we have to ask ourselves, what were these names that Adam was given? Adam alayhi salam. What were they? So when we look at tafsir, it's interesting because this is not just a Shia belief. This is also in Sunni books as well. There's a book called Alif al-Quran by Sayyid Sadiq al-Shirazi, and he mentions Sunni narration from Abdullah ibn Abbas, and he said, I asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, what were these words that Adam received from his Lord? So the Prophet said, Adam asked Allah by the right of Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan, and Hussein. So that begs another question. If Adam asked by these names, how did he know these names? So we're going to look at this. Adam said in the same book, on those pages, it's 29 through 30, if anyone has the book. Adam said, O Lord, verily I see figures, the likeness of my creation. Then what is it? Allah said, these are the lights of two figures from your children. The name of the first two is Muhammad. The beginning of prophethood is with you, and its end is with him. And the other is his brother and son of his father's brother, and his name is Ali. He will stand by and support Muhammad in his time of need and help, and he will help him with his hand and strength. And the lights that are around it are the lights of the progeny of this prophet from his brother. This Ali will marry the prophet's daughter, being for him his wife, and uniting by it the first of the creation of faith with it, and confirming for it that made her the leader of the women of the worlds, and her origination and her progeny are from the two lights. And then we will cut the rope and means of obtaining the lineage on the day of judgment, except his rope and his lineage. Then Adam prostrated and thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they will be in his progeny. Then Allah turned to him for that prostration and commanded the angels to prostrate to Adam. So for Adam, recognizing and accepting Ahlulbayt, this was the reason that the angels were to prostrate to Adam. So there's a lot of these things in the Quran that we just see the surface of it, but when you look deeper into it, and this is a Sunni narration, this isn't even in a Shia book, this is from a Sunni narration, that Adam accepted Ahlulbayt and he sought Allah's favor through the names of Ahlulbayt, and that the angels prostrated to him because he accepted that knowledge, and he had that knowledge of Ahlulbayt. That gave him a high maqam, a high status. So that's about Adam. So we're going to move on and go to another prophet. And we see that Nabi Nuh, or Noah alayhi salam, it says that when he wanted to settle the ark, when the flood came and he was on the ship and he wanted to settle the ark, he used the names of Ahlulbayt alayhi salam to settle the water and to settle his boat. And all of these stories that I'm bringing, if one wants to research it from the Shia sources, it's in Hayatul Qulub, Volume 1. It's a 3-volume book, and the first volume is about all of the older prophets. So, also when we look at Ibrahim alayhi salam, when Ibrahim was placed in the fire by Nimrud, we know that in the Quran it was made cool and it didn't affect him. So when we look at the narrations, he also used the names of Ahlulbayt to keep the fire cool. And he had a ring on it. Sometimes you see people with a ring that says Ya Ali or Ya Hussein or this. He had a ring on it which had the Prophet's name on it. And this ring, the angel gave him this special ring to cool the fire, and the calamity didn't happen to him because they wanted to burn him. But the names of Ahlulbayt alayhi salam kept the fire cool. Also, in Hayatul Qulub, we see that Nabi Musa alayhi salam, when he was in occultation, when he went to the mountain, he went away for some time, he had a ghaiba. And all his followers endured all types of hardships. Actually, Musa had two ghaiba. He had one when he went away from Fir'aun and he was gone for some years. And then he had another one when he went to the mountain for 40 days. So he had a ghaibatul sughra and a ghaibatul kubra as well, like our Imam, Ajjallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. So when he was gone, they were going through all sorts of hardship, similar to what we're going through. The Shia all around the world are going through hardship in the occultation of the 12th Imam, Ajjallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. But Imam Askari alayhi salam, he said that Allah instructed Musa with a form of prayer to tell his followers so that their burdens would be eased in the time of occultation. And that was to recite Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So a lot of people try to criticize us and say, oh, you focus on imams, or you don't focus on Allah, you ask imams, you ask this. When we call on the names of Ahlulbayt alayhi salam, we're not saying that they're the ultimate cause of relieving the hardship. They're the ones close to Allah, so Allah favors them in a position. So we call on their names because we know that Allah loves these the most out of all His creation. So we hope that by asking Allah by these names, He'll look on our dua as favorable, because our dua might not be that, special, or might not make it, but if you come with these names, it looks a lot better in Allah's eyesight. And He also gave these names to the prophets because we're going to go on and we'll see about some of these prophets, they were calling on Allah, and then Allah sent down the angel to teach them a dua that they use these names. So Allah wants us to call on Him by these names. He favors these names and these individuals over all of the creation. So getting back to Musa alayhi salam, we know that Allah spoke to Nabi Musa through a burning bush, like a burning bush. It's mentioned in the Quran. So when we look in this book in the narrations, we see that the burning bush, Imam Sadiq says about it, he says that the light that illuminated the tree was the light of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So this isn't something new that came after the Prophet. This is something that's been since the beginning of time, from all the way from Nabi Adam alayhi salam. All of the prophets, they all used the names of Ahlulbayt, and they all accepted Ahlulbayt. It was even said that they didn't receive their status of prophethood until they accepted the walayat of the Imams alayhi salam. So going back to Musa, Imam Askari alayhi salam, he continues, he said when Musa approached the sea, he was fleeing Fir'aun, lanatullah alayh, and Allah revealed to him to recite the names of Ahlulbayt alayhi salam and then enter the water. So the water would become hard for them to walk on. So the followers, they said they were still kind of scared. They saw the water and it was hard. They could walk on it, but they weren't quite sure. They were kind of still shaking. So they wanted to walk on dry land. They weren't just happy that they could make it through the water and through the sea, but they wanted it to be dry too. So then they asked Musa alayhi salam again to make it dry. So Nabi Musa alayhi salam, he struck the Red Sea with his staff, and he mentioned the names of Ahlulbayt alayhi salam, and then the sea split, and it was also dry for them to walk on. And it branched out into 12 paths because there was 12 tribes of Bani Israel. So there was 12 different ways for each tribe, and they had to walk through. Each tribe knew his way and had to walk. But even then, they didn't want the water they didn't want to walk on the water. They wanted it to be dry. Now they took their 12 ways, and they still, they had some complaints, and they said, oh, we won't see the other tribe. We'll be worried if the other tribe didn't make it and we made it. So even asked Musa alayhi salam again, and he made it. He used the names of Ahlulbayt alayhi salam again, and it made it where there was a way that they could see through the walls of the water, because the water rose and made like tunnels per se, something like this, a walkway. And also Yunus alayhi salam, Nabi Yunus, when he was in the belly of the fish, he was there and he cried out to Allah many times. He was in the belly of the fish for an amount of time. And when he got revealed to him that he needed to call on Allah by the names of Ahlulbayt. And when he called Allah, when he used the supplication of the names of Ahlulbayt alayhi salam, the fish took him to the shore and released him. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Next we'll go to Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. So at the age of 7, Yusuf, his brothers, we all know the story well. His brothers were jealous of him. He had a dream. And he told his father told him, don't tell anybody that, your brothers will be jealous of you. So they took him out and they cast him in a well. They threw him in a well. So after he was thrown in the well, he was down in the darkness for 3 days. And they took his clothes from him, and he didn't have much clothes left, and it was cold. You can imagine being in the bottom of a dark well where you can't see anything and just darkness for 3 days. It said that he was soaking wet and he was crying to Allah to help him. And the angel Jibreel came down and taught him this following dua to use. He said, "O Allah, Ya Allah, I ask you because of all praises for you. There is no God but you. You are the compassionate, the merciful, the originator of the heavens and the earth, the possessor of might and honor. Shower your mercy upon Muhammad and his family and make for me an escape from my current predicament. Provide for me from where I do not expect it." And through this dua, he was able to get out of the well. And then he went on to Egypt and became the Aziz of Egypt, the treasurer of Egypt. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And also later on, when he was in the prison, he was in prison for a long time. This is the same dua that he used when he was in the prison to be released from the prison. So it's very interesting. I found it really interesting when I was studying these lives of these prophets that all of them, they all, called out by these names. But it's a shame that not everyone knows about this, because if they knew about this, that it wouldn't be something that's looked upon strange, because Sunnis, Wahhabis, or Salafis, or whatever name we want to give to them, they accuse us of shirk, because they say, oh, you call Ahlulbayt alayhim assalam, you don't call Allah, or you associate the names with Allah. And the same thing is for ziyarat. They say you do sajda to the imams at their graves, and you worship imams, and they put pictures of people doing sajda. And for anyone who has been to the shrines, they know better, because in the shrines when you're doing salat, a lot of people are not facing, it's not like the Kaaba where they're all around facing the Kaaba. No, they're all facing the Qibla, even if the shrine is behind them, or the imam is behind them, they're still facing different direction. But you see that a lot of people make sujood. They're thanking Allah for being there, and they're thanking Allah for letting them come to ziyarah, and out of respect for the imam. It's the same way that the angels prostrated to Adam. That wasn't shirk either. They were prostrated to Adam because he accepted Ahlulbayt. So we're prostrating and thanking Allah for allowing us to have this knowledge of Walayat Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam.
Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So for those who say that it's outside of Islam, and we brought narrations. So we can go to the Quran as well, because Allah commanded the people to seek forgiveness through the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in Surah 4, ayat 64. It says, "We sent no messenger except that he should be obeyed by Allah's permission. And if they, when they wronged themselves, if they had but come unto you and asked forgiveness of Allah and asked forgiveness of the messenger, then they would have found Allah forgiving and merciful." So Allah is saying, when you committed the wrong, they should have approached the Prophet and asked the Prophet to seek forgiveness for them, and asked, by the Prophet's name for their forgiveness. So this is also found in the Quran, not just the narrations. So later on, when Yusuf revealed to his brothers his true position, when they came to him, Yusuf was in Museeba too. He knew all of the people, but they didn't know who he really was. He knew his brothers, but they saw him and they didn't recognize him. This is a resemblance with our Imam, Ajallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. So when they came, he gave his brothers, because his father had went blind out of crying for the separation from Yusuf. So he gave them, it's like a tunic or something like an Abbas to him. And this was the same one that Ibrahim wore when he was in the fire of Nimrud. And it was passed down from, father to son, prophet to prophet, all the way down. And the angel Jibreel, he instructed Yaqub if he wanted to be taught a dua that would restore his sight and bring back his lost children. So the angel came to Yaqub and he asked him, "Do you want your sight back? I will give you a dua, but you need to say this dua and you will get your sight back." So he replied that of course he wanted his sight back, and he wanted to be united with Yusuf alayhi salam again. So the angel said, "Pray as Adam prayed when he wanted Allah to forgive him, and as Noah prayed when he wanted to bring his ark to rest on the mountain to save him from the flood. And pray as Ibrahim prayed when he was thrown into the fire, Say, O Allah, we ask you through Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan, and Hussein to bring Yusuf and Benjamin back to me and to restore my vision. And then Yaqub, he took the Abba or the tunic and he wiped his face, and then his vision became back through the names of Ahlulbayt alayhim as-salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
We see that in the Quran. It says in Surah Yusuf, ayat 96, then when the bearer of good news came, he cast his shirt over his face and he regained his clear sight. And he said, did I not say to you, I know from Allah that which you know not? So all of these have a basis in Quran. And then when we go to Ahlulbayt alayhi wasalam or to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, we see that what these ayah really mean and what are the meanings behind them. So when Yaqub wiped his face with the Abba that Yusuf gave him, this act is called tabarruk. It's meaning when you seek blessings through a means of something sacred or something that belonged from the Ma'sumin alayhi wasalam. For example, the flag that was on the shrines of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, or the marble from the floor of the shrine, or people touch the shrine with their clothes or cloth and they take this as tabarruk. And you see like the green cloths that were on the shrine, and people take these and they use these for tabarruk for those who are sick, and all of these that have a lot of shifa and a lot of healing in these, because this thing that Yusuf gave Yaqub, it was touched the body of a prophet, and these are Ma'sumin and Allah's favored people on the earth. So we see that also the turbah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam has a lot of shifa. There are so many stories about this, it would take like a whole book to, if you go to Karbala, you just ask someone about the miracles that they've seen there. In Mafatihul Janan by Sheikh Abbas, we find that the following merits about the turbah. Imam Rida alayhi salam, he said that whoever uses the tasbih made from the clay of Imam Hussein's shrine or Imam Hussein's grave, and repeating the following statements with each bead on the tasbih, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shall record for him 6,000 excellent points. So he'll record for you 6,000 thawab, and he'll erase 6,000 of your evil doings, and he'll raise him 6,000 ranks, and he'll decide for him 6,000 times of intercession. And it's the tasbih, subhanallah walhamdulillahi wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. So saying these, and even Imam Sadiq alayhi salam talks about the turbah of Imam Hussein, that whoever uses the tasbih of the turbah of Imam Hussein's shrine or Imam Hussein's tomb, asking Allah for forgiveness one time only, he will be considered as he asked his forgiveness for 70 times. So just asking by using this turbah to seek Allah's forgiveness just once, it counts as 70 times. And even whoever holds it in his hand and he doesn't say anything, he's just holding the tasbih from the turbah Imam Hussein, it will be considered as if he uttered 7 statements of glorification for each bead on the tasbih without even saying anything. So this turbah has a lot of shifa as well. And it's not just prophets who sought the help of by the names of Ahlulbayt alayhim wasalam. It's not only prophets. We see that when we look further into the narrations, we see that even angels were healed by Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he said when Imam Hussein was born, Allah ordered Jibreel to descend with 1,000 angels. And these angels were to come to congratulate the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi on behalf of Allah and himself. On his way, Jibreel descended on an island in the sea where an angel named Futrus lived. So this angel was one of the carriers of the throne before, and now he lived on this island. And at one point in this angel's life, he procrastinated about carrying out an order of Allah. So he carried out the order, but maybe he didn't do it exactly right away. Maybe he took a split second, and for this, these angels, his wings were broken, and he was on this island, and he stayed on this island. And he continued worshiping Allah on this island for 600 years. And then after these 600 years, Imam Hussein alayhi salam was born. So this angel, he saw Jibreel and all of these other 1,000 angels. They were going to congratulate the Prophet. So this angel looked and saw him. So he asked Jibreel, "Where are you going?" Jibreel replied, "Allah blessed Muhammad with a child, and I have been sent to congratulate him on behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." So the angel said, "Jibreel, take me with you. Perhaps Muhammad, he can intercede for me in my situation. Maybe he'll ask, if I come with you, he'll ask Allah to heal my wings and put me back in a good status with Allah." So Jibreel took the angel, and when he arrived, the angel congratulated the Prophet on behalf of Allah and himself, and then he informed, Jibreel informed the Prophet of this angel's situation. And the Prophet told him, bring the angel inside and let me speak with him. So he was brought inside and he informed the Prophet of his situation. So the Prophet prayed for him. And the Prophet said something amazing. "Rub your wings on this newborn child, Imam Hussein, and you will return to your original position." Subhanallah. Just the position of the Imam. This angel has broken wings, and he rubbed it on Imam Hussein, and his wings came back to the original state. And this angel, after this, he flew away to the heavens. And as he was ascending, he said, "Ya Rasulullah, verily your nation will kill him. And verily as my repayment to him, no one will come to his ziyarah and say salam to Imam Hussein or send blessings on him without me informing you, Ya Rasulullah, of it." So this angel, every time someone sends salam to Imam Hussein alayhi salam for his favor of fixing his condition and helping him, he conveys that this person sent salam to Imam Hussein, he brings it to the Prophet. And this is in a book, Kamila Ziyarat, chapter 20. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he said that Allah dedicated 70,000 angels just to the grave of Imam Hussein. 70,000. And they're covered with dust and in disheveled condition. They look stressed and they're covered with dust, and they cry over Imam Hussein alayhi salam all the way to the day of judgment. And they establish salat by the grave, and each of their salat is equal to 1,000 salat of mankind. So just one prayer of these angels at the shrine of Imam Hussein is equal to 1,000 of our salat. And the reward for this salat, it will be registered for the zawar, for the ones who go to visit Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So we should all try to make our intention, inshallah, if Allah can grant us that position, and we ask Allah to call us to Karbala, for Imam Hussein and Abu Fadhil Abbas to call us to Karbala so that we can go fulfill the rights of the ziyarat, and we can attain this position as well for these salat to be registered for us, for the angels that pray for the zawar. So my point was to bring all of these stories so that now that we know that the prophets, whenever they got in difficult situations, and even angels, when they got in difficult situations, that when they encountered a hardship that seems impossible, they turned to Allah and they called on Him by the names of Ahlulbayt alayhi salam. They were cured from blindness. They split this, the sea was split for Musa. The angels' wings were mended. So whenever we get in a hardship or something seems impossible for us, the first thing we should do is we should think about this, what the prophets do. What would the prophets do? They called on the names of Ahlulbayt alayhi salam. And when we send the salam to the Imam, sending salam, that reply is wajib. So we should all, when we get in a hardship, we should send salam to the Imam of our time. You know, Assalamu alayka ya sahib al-zaman, ya Mahdi adrikna. We should call on Imam Mahdi, ajallah ta'ala farajahu sharif, because we have an Imam. He's with us. You know, we have an Imam. He's in occultation, but he is here and he's present and he knows our condition better than we even know our condition our own self. So we should always send salam to the Imam and ask him to help us when we get in difficult situations. And you can ask, there's many people, it's happened in my life, it's happened in other people's life. And I usually don't like to talk too much about my personal life, but I'll tell you one small story. It was, my wife was giving delivery to my son, Ali. And this is our first child, and everything was going okay. I was reciting dua and I was praying, and then something happened, some complication, and everyone rushed in the room, you know? They rushed in the room, and I was like, what's going on? They weren't telling me anything. It's like, we gotta get her out of here, we gotta get her out of here. She was like really, her heart rate dropped really low. And they said that the cord was wrapped around my son's neck, and they're like, we might lose both of them. I don't know what's gonna happen. And they said, you can't even come. I was trying to go, and they're like, no, you have to stay in this room by yourself. You know, I was about to lose my mind, and I don't know what to do. They rushed my wife out, took her to another room, and the last thing they told me is you might lose both of them. You might lose your wife and your son. And I don't know, you know, I was just like heartbroken at the moment, and I thought about it. Who could I call? You know, what should I do? You know, should I call my mom, tell my mom, okay, mom, this is going on? And I thought about it, my mom can't help me. Should I call my friend, you know, my friends I talk to every day, they can't help me. Should I call my sheikh or my teacher, they can't help me. I said, you know what I need to do? I need to call Sahib al-Zaman, ajallah ta'ala farajahu sharif. And I just went, and I made two rakah, and I asked Allah, you know, by the right of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, by the right of Imam Sahib Asra wa Zaman, I asked by his name, and I said, you know, I send my salam to the Imam. I said, you know, if anybody can do it, you're the one that can do it. I'm hopeless in this situation. There's nothing I can do. So I'm asking your help, you know, to help me. By the time I got up, the nurse came in and said, your son is fine, everything is fine, he's healthy, he's crying, everyone in the hospital, you know, my wife was good, and you know, everything was good. So trust me, these things, we see it in narrations, and we can also see it even in our lives. Allah didn't just answer the prophets' du'as because they were prophets, you know, it happens to tons of people. And I'm sure if you just go ask a lot of people, and there's probably even books about these stories. There's a lot of stories that people go to shrine in Karbala, they couldn't walk, they get up and they're walking. People that are blind, you know, they get their sight back. There's so many miraculous things. I wish that everyone in the world could see it, because they would be amazed and they would know the true position of the Imam alayhi salam. So on a night like tonight, in Muharram, after we know this, we should follow the sunnah of Rasulullah and the sunnah of the earlier prophets, and we should ask our hajat by the name of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So I would like if you could recite this with me, inshallah, that we're going to recite this and ask for our hajat, inshallah. It's from Dua Tawassum. Ya Aba Abdullah, Ya Hussein ibn Ali, أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. There's two individuals that were named Baba Hawaj. We have Imam Qadim alayhi salam, the 7th Imam. And we also have Abu Fadhil Abbas. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So on these nights, remember Abu Fadhil Abbas. He's Baba Hawaj. We should come to him as we see the sunnah of the prophets. They use the names of Ahlulbayt alayhi salam. Abu Fadhil Abbas is the door to answering the needs. We send our condolences to Imam Mahdi Ajallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. And we send our condolences to al-Baneen for raising such fantastic sons, such a loyal son, she gave 4 sons for Imam Hussein. And when the people came to Medina, they were asking her, they were telling her about her sons. She didn't even care. She asked, "Where is Hussein? Where is Hussein? It doesn't even matter about my sons. I want to know, is Imam Hussein alayhi salam okay?" This type of lady, Baneen, she raised, when we look at Baneen, we can tell how Abu Fadl Abbas was. He had 4 parents, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam and Baneen. So how can we not strike our chest? Or how can we not strike our chest when we remember Abu Fadl? When he went to the river to get the water for the thirsty children, he was the backbone of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He was the standard bearer, the one that carried the flag. He was the backbone, the support, the strength for Imam Hussein. But he couldn't take it when he heard the cries from the children from every corner. Al-Atash, Al-Atash. Abbas fought bravely to get to the Farat. And when he reached the water, he looked as if he could to drink it, but he remembered the thirst of his master, Imam Hussein. The Ahlulbayt alayhi salam, they didn't have water for 3 days, and in the heat, and they were fighting with not having any water. So when he reached the water, he was thinking, should I drink this water? But how could he drink the water and cool his lips when Imam Hussein alayhi salam's lips were dry and they were parched? How could he do this? So he said, there's no way I'm going to drink this water before Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So he gathered the water and put it in the bag, and he was heading back to give sakina and give the children the water that they were crying for. And on his way back, he was trying to make it back to the camp of Imam Hussein, and someone struck his right arm and struck his hand. He cut his right hand off. And then he continued carrying the water. He didn't even give up. He had the dedication to fulfill his purpose and to serve his imam. He came and his left hand was cut, and they cut him with one more blow and cut his left hand off. Ya Abu Fadl, Ya Qamar Bani Hashim. He was so determined that he carried the container of the water by holding the strap in his teeth. I mean, most of us would have given up when our first hand was cut, but Abu Fadl, no way. He carried the bag with his teeth. And he kept going toward Imam Hussein, and then Harmala La'natullah alayhi, he shot an arrow that pierced his eye, and he fell from the horse, and the water bag burst. And all his hopes to get the water to the children, it just burst with the water, it poured out everywhere. And normally when we fall from the horse, we would put our hands out to brace our fall. But how could Abbas brace his fall when he had no hands? Where are you, Ya Mahdi? Ya Sahib al-Zaman? You must be crying for Imam Hussein and Abu Fadl. We read that you cried tears of blood when you remember Hussein alayhi salam. We cannot help but recall how you would cry tears of blood if you saw the Abbas laying on the grounds in the plains of Karbala. It's none other than Abbas. He's lying on the ground with the arrow in his eye, the arrow that pierced his eye from Harmala. He's lying down and he's hearing the cries of the children. Al-Atash, Al-Atash. Imam Hussein, he came by his side. He came running to Abbas and he placed Abbas's head on his lap. But Abbas kept taking his head out of his lap, and Imam Hussein is asking, why did you take your head out of my lap? And he said, Ya Sayyidi, the thought that when you be breathing your last, no one will be there for you to put your head on their lap to comfort you. It makes me feel better if I could just lay my head on the sand and die. Besides, I'm your slave, and you're my master. It's too much for me. It's too much for me to put my head on your lap. And Hussein, when he heard this, he just burst into tears in the sight of his brother lying down in his arms. It was too much. And Abbas, he heard to whisper to Imam Hussein, Ya Sayyidi, I have some last wishes to express to you. When I was born, I had my first look at your face, your noble face. And it's my desire, my last desire, that when I die, I can look at your face as well. But this arrow is in my eye. This arrow pierced my eye. It's filled with blood. If you clear the blood from just my one eye, I'll be able to see you and fulfill my last dying desire. My second wish, yes, Sayyidi, is that when I die, please don't carry my body back to the camp, because I can't bear to see Sukaina. Even when I'm dead, I can't bear to have her, the thought of having her see my body. And I know your back is broken already from carrying everyone, Qasim, Ma'un, Muhammad, and all of your other family members to the camp. Please don't bother carrying my body to the camp. And my third and last wish is that Sakina may not be able to see my body lying here. And Hussein, he cried and promised that he would carry out his last wishes. But Ya Abbas, Ya Qamar Bani Hashim, I too have a wish to be fulfilled. Imam Hussein says, since childhood, you've always called me master, but for once, at least in your life, call me brother. The blood was clear from the eye of Abu Fadhil, and he looked at the other with a longing look, and Abbas was heard to whisper, Ya Akhi, Ya Akhi, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.